Good morning, arts educators. It is wonderful to be in shared space with you today. My name is Julia de Betancourt. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the Executive Director of Arts Education for Chicago Public Schools.
And good morning, everyone. I'm Nicole Upton, Executive Director at Ingenuity. My pronouns are also she, her. And on behalf of both of our teams at CPS and Ingenuity, we're really, really thrilled to welcome you this morning to the 2022 Arts Education Conference, Joy, Remembering Who We Are. So before we dive into the session today and the morning, we have a very special surprise guest for you this morning who would like to share her thoughts about the importance of arts education in this work. Please join me in welcoming Ayanna Hudson, who is the Acting Deputy Chairman for Programs and Partnerships and also the former arts education director for the National Endowment for the Arts. Have you heard of the National Endowment for the Arts? I bet you have. Ayana, welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nicole, and good morning, everyone. I am so delighted to be here representing Chair Maria Rosario Jackson to help welcome you to this immensely important arts education conference, Joy, Remembering Who We Are. Today is somewhat of a homecoming for me because not only has the NEA, through its arts education program, invested heavily in the work of Ingenuity, but I used to work with Ingenuity leadership when I was leading Arts for All as the arts education director for LA County. I know your work well, and I'm so happy to be here on behalf of our chair. I'm thrilled to meet the Chicago arts education community and to be able to thank you directly for the very important work you do every day for students and school communities. So my deepest thanks to each and every one of you, to every arts teacher, teaching artist, every arts organization, and every philanthropic organization that helps fund arts education. You, your work, and your commitment make a difference in the lives of children. At the NEA, we've been thinking a lot about our existing work and how we can contribute more intentionally as a national resource, not only as a grant maker, but enhancing what we do as convener, connector, and collaborator. This is such an important convening because of the role that arts educators play in advancing what the NEA increasingly sees as our North Star, the ability for all people to lead artful lives. What you do as arts educators is critically important to creating the society we aspire to, the society where children and all people can reach their full potential. As we know, the last 2 years have been especially challenging for arts educators. But while it has been full of trials, it's also been a time that has required creativity and nimbleness. And in this time, we've been forced to reframe, to look at things differently, and retool to devise different ways of working. And this is necessary to effectively engage in the work of repair, the work of addressing historic and systemic harm that was exacerbated and made more visible in recent times. And the last 2 years have taught us that in some cases, we don't have to do what we've always done. And that what we may have thought of as orthodoxy is perhaps just one approach among many that we should consider going forward. The National Endowment for the Arts continues to believe that artists play a central role in community life and that every student should be empowered through an excellent arts education. The Arts Endowment provides grant funding and supports the network of state, territorial, and regional arts agencies across the country that provide visibility for arts educators and teaching artists, as well as critical employment and professional development opportunities. And while we are proud and honored to help provide these foundational supports, we're also challenged to better understand how we can evolve and improve. Students need this, and you now more than ever. I can only imagine how challenging your work has been over the last 2 years, but please know that your work is seen, your work is important, and that you are valued. I hope today provides you with multiple opportunities to connect with your colleagues and friends and lots of moments of joy. I wish you all a terrific conference, and I look forward to hearing about your ideas on strengthening support for the very critical work you do. Thank you so much for allowing me to join, and return things back over to Nicole.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hudson, for your greeting and welcome. We're so honored, and this was a great way to start our day together. We look forward to continuing to engage with the NEA from the Chicago community. So today, as we've said, is about joy and remembering who we are. That's not just who we are as individuals, but as educators, as artists, as a community, and as a collective.
So we invite you today to be intentional, and to the extent that you're able, of course, I'm sure there's lots going on, try to let go of that to-do list and be present, ground yourself in what brought you to this work in the first place and why you show up every single day. It's really easy to get lost in the churn of this vast ecosystem and in public education. And sometimes the days and the semesters and the school years can all seem to kind of blend together. Like, did I do that project this year or was that last year? And wait a minute, like, didn't I just have that fourth grader who's now an eighth grader? How did that happen? And wait a minute, what is the latest, Julia? What is the latest CPS leadership shift and procurement policy that I need to know about?
Fair. I know for me, it can feel like you're constantly pushing a rock up a never-ending hill. Will we get to the top? Does anyone see us pushing? What are all these efforts actually adding up to? In those moments, we need to remind ourselves, why do we do this work? Why do we push so hard and give so much of ourselves?
So I do this work because I was a CPS student. I was a spazzy kid with a lot of energy who found her voice through singing and dancing and being a weirdo. Because I was a high school theater teacher who worked many a 16-hour day teaching, running rehearsals, and paper mache costume heads together. Because I know that arts education needs to be fought for at every single turn.
And I do this work because my grandparents, all from families who had recently immigrated to America, attended CPS schools and found their path through the opportunities that were afforded to them by this district. I do this work because it was my own arts education that taught me that my emotional availability and unique point of view were my superpowers, not my liabilities. I do this work because I know not every student had access and has access to the robust arts education that Nicole and I did. And neither of us will stop until they do.
So it's remembering that why, our stories, our experiences, our identities that offer us a compass in those moments that we don't know sometimes which way is up. And why are you here, right? That's my question to you here today. Why are you here? Drop that why in the chat and share it with us.
I'm excited to read those because those are the reasons, those are the moments, that's what allows us to persist. That recalls for me, reading your whys, understanding your whys. It regrounds for me that the arc of progress is long and we have to stay the course because you never know when the tactics that we've called upon for years, something like the State of the Arts report, those tactics might be the thing that meets a moment at the exact right time.
Making sure that every single child in our district has access to the arts. I go to schools and some schools are just rich in those offerings and other schools just are not. And so for the first time, making sure that all of our schools have the resources so that every child has access to the arts as well as physical education and other specialty courses.
Wow. 2 weeks ago, we saw how the fruits of our labor of the last 11 years of working together as an arts education community culminated in a really significant comment from the leader of Chicago Public Schools.
And in his first year as CPS CEO, Pedro Martinez publicly named arts education access as one of his key priorities for school investment. This means more arts teachers, more arts partnerships, more arts-rich supports for students and for schools. And be assured that the Department of Arts Education and Ingenuity are already hard at work, turning this priority into a reality for the schools that the data tells us need supports to achieve this call to action.
This kind of public comment shows us that our methods are working, and it reminds us to persist, even when things get difficult, even on days when it just feels like we're not getting anywhere.
We are making progress. We are closing the opportunity gap. And this is a win that belongs to each and every one of us.
Yeah, we're part of a collective community of arts education folks here. Every time one of us does something like advocate for the arts at a LSC meeting,
Welcome the CEO into your school to take in a performance.
Collaborate with an arts partner on a residency program.
Dive deeply into a PLC to improve your instructional practice.
Or even like host an arts curriculum night at your school.
Or any of the millions of other things that you do every day to enrich CPS students' learning experiences in the arts. We are creating momentum and activating around our deeply held belief in the vital importance of arts education for every student.
So today, get out your cups and fill them up. Connect with each other, reground yourself in that why.
Because we are closer than we've been to pushing this boulder to the top of the hill, closer than ever, I would say, but it's going to continue to take every single one of us to get there.
We are so lucky to be part of this community, in community with each and every one of you. And thank you for everything that you do on behalf of students of Chicago.
And before we move on, we have one more very important thank you. The incredible team who worked tirelessly to plan and execute this day for you.
So that's Courtney Cintron, Ariel Frost, and Tashia Fausch on the Ingenuity team.
And Janya Leverett and Amanda Suko on the CPS DAE team.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're amazing.
And now it is our pleasure to hand things over to that team. And I think Courtney will be taking us away. Have a great day, everyone.
Woohoo! Thank you, Nicole and Julia, for those incredible remarks and insights. It sounds like we're moving towards a new and exciting time in arts education, and we're honored to be working alongside all of you to make that happen and make it a reality. So good morning, and thank you so much once again for joining us. My name is Courtney Cintron, Director of Partnerships and Learning at Ingenuity. And I am joined here by today's conference planning team that has worked collaboratively and intentionally over the last several months to design and catalyze today's event. So I'm going to introduce you to this team again so they can wave and give you a quick hello. So Ariel Frost, Project Consultant with Ingenuity's Partnerships and Learning team. Janya Leverett, Arts Data and Evaluation Strategist with the CPS Department of Arts Education. And Amanda Suko, Arts Professional Learning Specialist with the CPS Department of Arts Education. And today we would like to extend an invitation to you all to join us in deepening our collective understanding of culturally responsive education, centering identity and joy as pathways to actualizing spaces where students become leaders of their learning and uniquely positioned to create art that expresses a complete story of who they are, one that remembers their joy. So we'll continue to explore what this means for us throughout the day, but first I just have a few important notes for you. So today's happening will run from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and we'll share a more in-depth schedule and session preview with you a little later this morning. If you have any questions for us, please do feel free to message us directly in the chat. Closed captions can be activated by clicking the CC button located at the bottom of your screen. And lastly, a recording of this morning's keynote presentation, as well as the closing session, will be available in a couple of weeks and shared via email. Thank you.
We would like to acknowledge that this virtual conference is taking place on the stolen land of the Council of Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Potawatomi, and Odawa nations. Many other tribes such as the Miami, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, Sac and Fox, Kickapoo, and Peoria nations also call this area home. Because of the Great Lakes, the land became a site of travel, healing, and trade, and gathering for more than a dozen other Native tribes, and is still home to over 100,000 tribal members in the state of Illinois that still practice their traditions and care for the land. These lands were the traditional birthright of Indigenous peoples who were forcibly removed and who have faced centuries of struggle in the wake of displacement and dispossession. As we begin this program, we invite you, we also honor you, but we invite you to honor these ancestral grounds, which we are on, and begin to rethink and reflect on our own relationship and responsibility to this land and its original peoples. Courtney will now introduce our keynote speaker.
Thank you, Amanda. So this year's conference, with its focus on identity and joy, would not be complete without Chicago's very own Ibelis Bombera de Corazon Diaz, who is here to share dance, to share music and reflections on identity and joy and diaspora as a leader within the Bomba community. Connecting her practice in Bomba to community organizing and the significance of an arts education, Ivelisse will share her journey as a member of a youth Bomba group to founding her own Bomba dance school, La Escuelita Bombera de Corazon, and how identity, joy, community, and Bomba have illuminated her path. So without further ado, I am thrilled to introduce you to today's keynote speaker, Ivelisse Diaz, joined by guest artists Maya Zazil Fernandez and Jonathan Pacheco. Thank you.
Cuña elemue, cuña caneco. Cuña elemue. Se están durmiendo. Ay, elemue caneco. Elemue golpe cangrejo. Habla, habla y no lo entiendo. Cuña, elemue mamá. Beautiful people, powerful people. I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited to be sharing this. I'm excited. This is Jonathan and this is Maya, and they are also practitioners of Bomba and the community here. We also are representing La Escuelita, Bomba con Bulla, Bom Pleneras, and just a beautiful movement. I'm so honored, right, to be here, to be able to talk to you guys about the magic of feeding into who we are. It's beautiful. Bambula, coming from that Congo word, right, means to remember. It's a word that I've been reminded of for so many years. And growing up in Bomba, what is Bomba? Woo! What is Bomba aside from being saucy? Bomba is the oldest genre of Puerto Rico. It feeds us with all this beautiful African blood that runs through our Puerto Rican people. I was very blessed to be raised in a family that knew that education and culture went hand in hand, even with culture, music, arts was shaded, right? It was something that when I went to school, it was something that wasn't valued at all. And when I was home, it was something that went hand in hand with my education. I started at the age of 5 actually practicing Bomba and understanding what Bomba is. Bomba is not only about playing the barriles, playing a maraca, right? It's not only about dancing. It's not only about singing, right? It's about actually navigating what life is, navigating who you are, navigating all those obstacles that your ancestors, other generations that came before you didn't have a voice and didn't explore. The beauty of being able to stand right here and be able to know who I am and the truths of what history is. Right? And when we talk about history in America is Black history. And it's so beautiful to be able to navigate that and process that, right? Giving me the tools to actually understand that, right? Giving me giving me a sense of who I am. I grew up in school being the only one talking about bomba, right? Because it was ridiculed, right? And it was something that, through history, right? Through history and through dance and even religion sometimes, right? It's so shaded, right? There's so much negativity around it, as if arts and music isn't meant to be used as a tool, which means that it has no color, has no gender roles. It is meant for people to use, to feed, to take as necessity and bring back as necessity. You know, I actually want to give a shout out to a third grade teacher, Miss Melendez, that she still to this day comes to visit me at all my performances. And that's when I knew how powerful my family showing me about culture was. When I would see my teachers from school come to these cultural performances, because at that time, imagine, there was not enough facts, enough books to tell us of who we are, people that look like us, beautiful, so we can come into conversation, right? Not only that, but history also, right? Music, arts has no language. It's so important that we meet in these spaces of music and we meet in these spaces of art, right? Because we can definitely write, sing, play, draw, things that we cannot find the words to say. We can't find the words to express, right? We live, especially in Chi-Town, right? Chi-Town, the school systems, right? You guys, the educators, us, the educators, our students, our community leaders, we are the ones carrying the actual intention to bring impact. And it is so powerful, right? It is so powerful to be an educator. It is so powerful that before you're an educator, you're always a student. Right? You are always a student. Art and music, yes. Charles, thank you for that. Art and music, yes. It has science. It has its math. ¿Verdad? Musically, uno tiene que sumar su número. And yes, I'm going from Spanish to English because me encanta. And it is who I am. And as educators, I need everybody to understand what I'm saying. I've been living this life since I was 5. And this is how I've been able to educate community and empower community, empower educators of how important it is for your work to remember who you are before any titles, before any books, before any separation or division within titles. We are no different than our students. We are no different than the children that we educate. We're just a bit ahead of them. And we are their teachers, but we are guiders, right? Because we don't choose for them. We guide them and give them options, right? And for me, music has been something that I have been able to use as a tool to go into communities of all different backgrounds and actually understand the power of culture and the heaviness of culture, and how we don't need to walk this earth muting each other. Because I need your story connected to mine, connected to Jonathan's, connected to Maya, because we all have a story to tell. We all have moms, we all have dads, we all have grandmothers, we all have grandfathers. Some of them have already transitioned, but there's something very powerful of knowing about ancestors and what we stand and where we stand, and knowing the grounds that you stand in and knowing the grounds that you teach in. It's really important as educators that we start embracing, right, arts even more and music even more. Educators, I know I got musicians here. I know I got artists here. I know I got people that are dying to bring all their artistry 100%, right? Because we do have the answers, and sometimes the answers can't be explained. We just have to show them. And I'm so excited to be here speaking with you guys because it works. Because I want to inspire you to bring all your ideas. I want to continue inspiring you that if you show up as who you are, our kids are going to see that, right? The way that we walk in to teach a child, right? It's so important, even the way that we walk in, how my ancestors have helped me walk in standing tall, right? Because as educators, that does not mean that we know everything. It means that we are strong enough, we have that will to continue exploring what this world is. Right? And through arts and culture, because arts and culture, we don't even know where it started and we don't know when it's going to end. It's never going to end. It's never going to end. But as we continue to build, right, these walks and these paths, it's important that we show up authentically. And that means with your accents, that means with how you are, who you are, how you dress, what makes you feel comfortable. And I think it's so important that, and I love that we chose that this conference, right? It's about who you are. ¿Verdad? ¿Quién tú eres? Es tan importante. And yes, I got to speak Spanish because I got Spanish speaking teachers and it's important. And I swear if I knew another language, I'll be speaking the 7 different languages because it's important to learn as well. Not only that, es importante saber la fuerza que ustedes tienen como educadores, ¿verdad? Como personas de la comunidad, ¿verdad? Esos recursos que uno usa, ¿verdad? Para darle ojos nuevos, ¿verdad? Visiones a nuestro estudiante, a nuestro adolescente, ¿verdad? Nuestra comunidad. It's important, you know, and I know educators, let me clap for you. Clap for these educators. Because I know during the pandemic, I know you guys went hard. And I know some of you guys saw like, I can't do this. But you know what? You guys did. And you're here and you're standing. And you can't tell me that you don't have a purpose to educate and you don't have a purpose and a responsibility to dig deeper. If you're standing here today, that means that you still have a purpose. And that means that we got more work to do. And we got more boxes to unpack. And we got so many educators right now. I'm talking to 250 beautiful educators from all over the world. Se necesita. And we need our hearts to be present. We need all these experiences, right? Not everybody grew up the same way. And that's another thing. Being an educator means learning about the community that you teach in. Chi-Town has a lot of different communities and communities that need to be lifted. And it's important, right? Because knowing the community that you're teaching in, knowing the food that they serve that community, knowing people that own the businesses, people that walk through, good morning, buenos dias, good afternoon, that also helps you connect with your students. It is so important as educators, whether you live on the opposite side of where you teach, it's so important and so impactful that students see you in their own communities. You know, it's important that they see you in your own communities, that you are eating the food that they eat, because this is how we bring equality. I love that. I love equality. I love to see my teachers even getting their shoes cleaned in my community, coming to get a jibarito, que rico, even to come and pump gas because we are worthy. The way that we walk as educators and how we bring value to whatever it is that we put in our stomachs, to whatever it is that we walk, the clothes that we wear, everything is how we connect with our communities, and it is how children actually open up. Children already walk into your classroom and they already see a difference in level. Una cosa, you know, es una cosa tan importante to actually focus on, right? The way we present to our kids. And, you know, and I know that some educators are doing this. Some educators are struggling to connect with our children, right? Because it's important. It's important the way we walk in and the way that we connect with ourselves, right? And we can still do that while we're authentically us. You don't have to make up experiences. You don't have to be somebody that you are not to connect with students. Being authentic is super important. And before you're an educator and before you are studying and you're in school and everything, it's really important that you know who you are. That wherever you walk in, wherever I walk in, whether I'm sad, whether I'm confused, whether I am coming to learn something, because believe me, I am student 1, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and then I may guide. But I'm talking to you guys as living this since I was 5. So there's so many things that I have been able to experience through this, listening and observing. And that is one of the things, the most humblest life experience that I have been taught. Imagine living all of this, living in a time where, you know, when I would talk about cultura and I would talk about bomba and ancestors and how this makes me feel alive. How I didn't learn English till I was 10 years old, so I didn't know how to communicate with some of my teachers to tell them, bomba is saucy. How do you transpire that? How do you get them to learn how, when I didn't get math, when I had a struggle reading in English, you know what would calm me and fill me with love and give me purpose and motivate me? The sound of drums. The sound of my elders singing. Because if they made it, I'm going to make it. And if you're here, you're going to make it. Because I'm still living this and I'm still learning this. And as I'm speaking here as the keynote speaker, I come very humble to motivate you guys, to empower you all, right? Because we are all one. Somos humanidad, and we all want the best. But in education and culture and everything, it's important to be very self-cautious. And it's really important to know how you walk into spaces. And it's really important to know what you bring to the table and what others bring to the table, and knowing to make space for children to sit at the same table as you, because they are going to be our leaders. They are our future leaders. Sit on that for a little bit. I'm going to sing a little bit for you. Con el eco de mi barrile, ay, con el eco de mi barrile, con el eco de mi barrile, calmo una pena que me persigue. Con el eco de mi barrile, con el eco de mi barrile, con el eco de mi barrile, calmo una pena que me this music, it fills you with love. Ay, con el eco de mi barrile, con el eco de mi barrile, con el eco de mi barrile, calmo una pena que me persigue. And if you're dancing, go ahead and dance, clap. We must feel joy in what we do. Ay, con el eco de mi barrile, con el eco de mi barrile, con el eco de mi barrile, calmo una pena que me persigue. Con el eco de mi barrile, habla. Calmo una pena que me persigue. Oh, how did that feel? Did it help you process everything? Ooh, mi gente, how important is it to have music and arts in school? To have our ancestors present. This is African music from Puerto Rico. And it doesn't mean that you have to be left out. It means that we just want you to show up. As teachers, we should always, right? Educators, woo! Yes, the ancestors are always guiding you. Show up. That is the only thing. Showing up is free. Show up. Take a walk around your community. Take a walk around your children's community so you can know. So when you engage in conversations, you can talk to them about things that they connect with in their community. Something, even talking about food, even art teachers, whatever you're drawing. What calls their attention? Traveling through cultures, through art. Una cosa tan profunda. These are lived experiences that we can't find in books. We can only be taught, right? We can only read what was chosen to be documented. And our responsibility is to show up to these spaces that will give us the page 4, 5, and 6, which are lived experiences. For me, music, culture, and arts has changed my life. I am raised by the public system. I went to Sabin Magnet School and I graduated from Roberto Clemente High School. Schools right here in my community in Humboldt Park. And I am very proud. I am very, very proud. Because while others have options, right? Students have options of having so many options of high schools that they can go to, right? And grammar schools and people that have the option, right? Beautiful families that have options of being able to go to some of the best schools in the city. I have no shame that I went to public schools that were still struggling, because the school may struggle, but we are seeds. We continue growing. A struggle becomes a strength. A struggle becomes a story. A struggle becomes a lesson. A struggle becomes a tool. And so the learning is in the struggle. Yes, baby, the learning is in the struggle. And so it's really important that not only do you have to be tapped in emotionally, mentally, cautiously into what you're going to teach. Be very mindful that being an educator, it's a two-way street, baby. And sometimes you have to pave your own way, because that's the magic that we are. We know exactly where we need to plant. And we know exactly how much water, how much sun, how much love these seeds are and need, Those are our children. I am a product of a seed that was planted and was taken care of very well. But I was also taught to believe in myself. I was also taught through this music and through some of my music teachers, my arts teachers, teachers that were really tapped in, really tapped into culture, people that can actually connect with me and my friends, even though we would get on this yellow bus and everybody was dropped off on the south side of Chicago, east side of Chicago, west side of Chicago, north side of Chicago. We had the school that we were being educated as one. And I think that's really powerful. Yeah, south side. Anybody from the south side here? West side. Woo! East side, north side. We must celebrate ourselves. We must celebrate where we're from, and we must always create space to celebrate ourselves from a central position, because nobody matters more than others. Our kids need us, and we need our children. Ooh, I see Southside, Little Village, Pilsen. Ooh, Southside came in. Ooh. Anybody from Humboldt Park? Come on now. I really appreciate you guys, and I just want, and I hope that sharing space with you all and just speaking to you guys, that you guys understand the power of culture, the power of speaking, the power of having a voice, the power of being able to say your name, Ibelis Diaz, without a bachelor's, without a PhD, with no title. Because that's when it matters. That's when it matters, when you put everything to the side that you can actually pull rank with. And we sit down and we're all at the same level, eye level, because our kids are able to guide us in things that we don't know and we have yet to learn. The seeds get stronger and bigger every generation. I want to thank you guys for listening, for helping me, for just, man, helping me feel good. Gosh, and I hope you guys feel good, and I hope Jonathan feels good, and Maya, and all these beautiful educators, that you guys feel seen. And I want to thank you, all the educators, City of Chicago, everything, just thank you. Thank you. I know we are out here struggling, but we are out here making it. Bambula, to remember who you are and how strong you are and why you are here. You have a purpose. And yes, purpose is not always going to remember. It's not always going to come in all sun and beautiful, like sunny days. And, oh, let's just skip through this. You know, it's important that we stand as educators and as strong even when things get hard. And know that you guys have resources like Escuelita Bombera Corazon here. I am born and raised in Chicago, in Humboldt Park. I've had the opportunity to move out of my community, but this is my political statement. I'm here to stay because I need my children and I need generations to see me coming out of Humboldt Park and being here, the keynote speaker for the educators all over the Chicagoland. This for me continues to be an affirming just moment, affirmation of how powerful culture is. Estamos aquí y no nos vamos. We are stronger together. Mi gente, we are stronger together. And it's important that we know the roles that we play so we can continue growing in all the spaces that we take and that we fill. And also just being very cautious that it doesn't matter what you teach in school. We are still a team of educators teaching these same children, these beautiful brains all in one. You can always find me in bomberadecorazon.com, Ibelis Diaz on IG. I would love the support of educators. I would love the support of the city because this is something that I grew up in. This is something that my family brought Bomba over 45 years. I'm part of the generation and the elder that brought Bomba here from the south side of Puerto Rico. Beautiful black Puerto Rican man, Elisamuel Rodriguez. And we have been out here in these communities bringing Bomba wherever it is needed with our family Bomba con Bulla, with Bompleneras, with La Escuelita Bombera Corazon. And educators, I want to let you guys know, I have a school, La Escuelita Bombera Corazon. I'll be turning 14 years with my school. So please come and take a history class, a song class, a drumming class, a dance class. How do you move your body to connect? How do you use your hands to tell messages? How do you connect with the longest standing ancestors, which is the drum? The drum has survived through the whole world. You are in so much. And we can't wait to see you in these spaces. Yes, and you know what? Invite me to your schools. We would love to get into this with our kids so kids can start making assimilations to how this music is also part of science. It's also part of social studies. It's also part of math. Is also part of who we are and how we need our children to get into these classes. Because for a child to get up, and everybody, we know that our children all have come from different backgrounds. But the resilience of these children to get to school when some of them don't have where to eat, clean clothes and everything, and they get there, let's continue bringing these resources to them. Let's continue bringing these resources to them and let's continue empowering them because it is so important to know who they are and be reminded. And we are also tools and examples that they walk in. So as adults, we also have a responsibility to dig deeper into who we are and our own story so we can start changing the language that we use in classrooms. It can be kind of patriarchy, right? We want to change it. We want the kids to come and be able to be leaders and maybe a kid that may not connect with you, they may connect with that other kid in the classroom that did connect with you. And so that student becomes a messenger for the rest. Be the example, walk the example, and really, 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 really believe in yourself and really love yourself and know your story from A to Z, because if we know our stories, we will be great guiders to how children are going to write their story, and their voice will be a page in this world, 2 pages, a chapter if need be. So I'm going to leave you with this song, and I want to thank you guys so much. Agua, agua nada más, que mi cuerpo pide agua. Agua, Agua, agua. Agua. Agua, 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 agua. Yes, mi cuerpo pide. Agua, 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 agua. Ay, agua. Agua, 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 agua. Me pide agua. Gracias, 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 gracias. Gracias. Que mi cuerpo pide agua. Right? Water's so refreshing. Water's clear. And we must be like water because we are educators. We are not mountains. Mountains are obstacles. We flow like water. To the right, to the left, we go back and front. To the right, to the left, we go back and front. And what we teach, that's the power. A wave never comes twice. So be very, very intentional. The language and how you teach and how we walk into these classrooms, because we can't repeat our days and we can't repeat our hours. We can just get better. So thank you very much. Happy Friday, educators. Thank you for everything that you all do, that you guys all do. Gracias, Jonathan, Maya, y su servidora, Ivelis. Come and find me, y'all. I'm here.
Thank you so much, Ivelisse. I was dancing in my seat and I resonated so much with the call to be a guide and continue to be a learner. Those were all the things that were right on my level. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So we are here to reflect, to remember our unique intersection of identity, explore best practices, and identify strategies to ensure students' identities are constantly engaged, and to leave with the tools to engage those students. As we've discussed, today's conference is about identity and joy. So before we move into discussing today's sessions, let's have a collective grounding moment to explore what that means for us today as we remember ourselves through the following question: who are you? Today, I am queer, a musician, a stitcher, a teacher, a learner, a dapper and chic blurred Black nerd. I'm a sibling, a partner, and a sometimes parent to 3 young people. Who are you? So I want you to write your response in the chat, but don't press send. I'll give us a countdown, and when I say go, press send so we can see the waterfall of who we are in this space. 3, 2, 1, send. Oh my goodness, the waterfall is gorgeous. And I'm re-remembering the song that Ivelisse left us with about agua. So wonderful. So now I'd like to hand things off to Janya to bring us through today's schedule.
All right, thank you so much, Ariel. And thank you again to Ivelisse. Like, wow, that I think we're going to be sitting in that for a long time, and rightly so. So if you'd like to follow along on the slider in your brochure, I'm going to take us through the schedule for today. So obviously we've just enjoyed that powerful keynote from Ivelisse, and then that'll be followed by our morning identity and joy sessions. Those will begin at 9:40, so about 20 minutes from now. To participate in the video screening and discussion, so I apologize. The sessions will be followed by a video screening and discussion, and to enjoy those video screenings and discussions, you will just need to stay in your room of the morning session. So there's no need to click on a separate link. After the morning sessions, we'll break for lunch at 11:35. And then the afternoon identity and joy sessions will follow the lunch break. These sessions will begin at 12:20. Like the morning of video screening and discussion will follow the session. Also like the morning, just stay in your session and you'll be able to enjoy the video screening and discussion. The morning and afternoon identity and joy sessions mirror each other. So that means that everything that is offered in the morning is also offered in the afternoon. Therefore, you're able to attend 2 different sessions today. We'll end the day with an exciting closing panel featuring the Art Student Voice Committee and some of our panelists with questions from the Art Student Voice Committee and some questions from you. Breaks will occur throughout the day and session facilitators will make you aware of the time. Now I'm going to send it back to Courtney to walk us through the conference brochure.
Thank you so much. And once again, thank you to Ivelisse. Oh my gosh, I have chills moving through my body right now. So such an incredible, energetic, authentic, life-giving keynote speech, presentation, everything. So yes. So now that you have a sense of the day, let's take a sneak peek at some of the individual session offerings. And once again, you can follow along in our virtual conference brochure that should be dropped in the chat. I think it just got dropped. So this year's sessions have been designed by both community arts partners and CPS arts educators, and each session gives space to exploring pedagogy and practice around identity and joy. So I'm going to briefly walk through each session and give you a little bit of a preview, and hopefully this will help you kind of determine which sessions you'd like to attend. And once again, each session will be offered 2 times. So that means you can select 2 out of the following 5 concurrent sessions to attend. So emphasizing community-based arts education practices and culturally responsive arts education, a teaching artist's reflection, multidisciplinary artist and educator William Estrada will invite educators to imagine how we can amplify the radical creativity present in marginalized spaces and the importance of honoring existing legacies, memories, familial traditions, and daily practices. In gender inclusion in the classroom, music teacher Cleo Goldberg will give educators the opportunity to unpack gendered practices, explore how to foster inclusion, and discuss how to navigate challenging situations around honoring a student's identity. In diasporic diagrams, honoring identity through the creative process, with manager of education at 826 Shy, Natasha Mijares, participants will discuss the term diaspora through activities that include map making of your familial and artistic lineage and journaling about your past, present, or future selves, exploring the many ways that artists honor their identity through the creative process. In joy, jubilance, openness, youthfulness, CPS dance teacher Gina Spears will guide participants in their preferred art making method to explore how you can create a classroom environment that helps your students find joy and rekindle joy in your teaching practice as well. And begin with the end in mind, creating joy in arts instruction, art teacher and arts liaison Crystal Grover Webb will guide participants in exploring the value of cultivating instructional practices that go beyond students producing a tangible project or obtaining a class grade, and they will design a plan that will include how the concept of joy can be implemented into instructional practice. And for this session, we do ask that you bring 2 lesson plans to work from if possible. For all of these sessions, we do also recommend having some paper and a writing utensil handy for any reflection prompts or journaling activities. And I'll hand it back to Janya to tell you a little bit about another session type that we're offering for you this year.
Okay, thank you, Courtney. I believe there might be an echo because I have another window up, so I do apologize for that. Okay, so as I mentioned in the schedule, video screenings will follow the identity and joy sessions. You can stay in your session room to participate in the screening. There's no need to find another link. So if you're in your session, you're in your video screening. The morning video will be the archaeology of the South. Bronx native Yolanda Sealy Ruiz challenges educators to examine their views on the communities and students they serve. You'll hear about how doing the deep work of examining yourself and your history can be a step in developing your pedagogy. That is our morning video screening. The afternoon video screening will be relearning history, telling new stories. Actress Karen Parsons and author Daniel Jose Older discuss their works to present more complete truths about history through storytelling. A short period of individual reflection and group share will follow each session. These screenings are courtesy of CRE Hub. And I'm going to throw it back to Amanda.
Thank you, Janya. Our day will conclude with a discussion panel featuring Ivelisse Diaz, in case you remember her, William Estrada, and Cleo Goldberg. The panel, facilitated by Ariel Frost and myself, will be guided by questions that have been curated by the CPS Arts Student Voice Committee. The panel will feature the topics of identity and joy, but will also branch into the students' curiosities around multidisciplinary arts approaches. If you have questions for the panelists that pop up throughout the day, please submit them to this form. We will include as many questions as possible after we have explored the students' questions. The closing session will take place in this Zoom webinar. This same link that you got in your email this morning to get here this morning is the one that you will access to come back at 2:30 today. Now, in a few moments, we're going to be moving into today's identity and joy sessions. We have a schedule map that will help you navigate to your sessions. The link is being shared in the chat. You'll select the corresponding link from the session that you would like to attend. There is a link to attend to additional session information at the bottom of the map if you would like more information. Video screenings will take place following sessions in the same room. There will be personnel in the sessions to help guide you. There will also be personnel in this room, this main room, should you need to come back for a rest or additional assistance or questions.
So we also invite you to follow along and engage with us on social media. So share some of your highlights and experiences throughout the day, an epiphany, something exciting, or just something that brought you joy. And use the following hashtags, #ArtsEdCon22, Joy and Identity, DAE Joy, and Ingenuity Joy. And those are dropping in the chat right now. You can use those on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, all those things. And thank you, and we'll see you back here at 2:30 p.m.
you.